So We Are Not Legends is the title of the documentary I'm working on. And it's the story. I will follow a Native American from Canada who is a craftsman crossing North America. And the idea is to show the hidden face of America, the presence of Native people still living in today. Everything began with that book because I went to Canada 2 years ago with that book. And I meet some Native people, and I read a poem that you can see here. And I think that everything should begin with that book. I'm not sure of that because everything is in that story, in Story I Lived, is a question of relationships. And like, you know, the spider is a sacred animal in Native culture. And it's the story of the symbol of everything. Anything is related to everything. And this is what I lived in that story. So it was in the summer 2011 that I first went to Canada to discover the native cultures and try to learn more about their situation of today. Because I had to make a theater show about which was based on that book. And here you can see Jacques Newashish is an artist from the Atikamekw Nation. He's a painter and storyteller. And he brings me, in fact, he's the man I followed during all my trip. And he learns me a lot of things about his culture, his way of living. And he brings me to his reservation in Wemontashi. You can go to Wemontashi from Montreal by the train. There is no station, but there is a stop. And you arrive there. It was really impressive for me to enter in a reservation because I think European has a lot of phantasm on Indian people. And what touched me very deep was the question of the children. Because I asked myself, what is it to grow up in a reservation? What kind of perspective can you have when you live in that place? This is like an Indian parking. And so, yeah. This man is Michel, so he's the craftsman who invited me to join him in a trip. I met him because he's a friend of Jacques, the first man you see. And we drive together to Tadoussac to see the whales. Me, I wanted to see the whales, and he wanted to visit a place. A friend of him committed suicide 2 months ago. So I took this picture because of the beauty. In the poem you've seen, it was question of the beauty, if you read some sentence. And the beauty way is a healing way from the Navajo people who live in Arizona. Here is some clothes, and I put them because I don't know if you heard about smoke signals. It's a way of communication for Native people. And a year after this, my first trip, Michel called me back to say, I want you to be with me in that trip, and I'm waiting for you. So we will drive from Canada to Arizona. In Phoenix, it's the destination, because the Phoenix is the symbol of the rebirth, and this is what I think it's happened for Native people for now. And between that, the road will be free, and this is what we want it to be. After that call, I began to write to understand what I was living, what was that story, why that man called me back to invite me in that trip. And I began to imagine something I could tell about all the things I discovered in my first and second trip, because in last winter I went back to Canada because the movement just get born. The movement is idle no more. It means stop apathy or stop immobilism. And this is, kind of a wake up for Native culture. And so I'm here in front of a frozen river. This is a joke. In fact, I'm planning like rich white woman lost in a frozen river, and an Indian just appeared by chance to save me. It's like a mise en scène we made, because something that I really like in Native people I met is their sense of humor. Here is Janet Kuku. She's the mother of the chief of Wemontashi, the reservation I visited. And when I told her that I was about to go to Arizona, she told me, it's my dream. It's like going to the Mecca for an Indian, it's a place we are all dreaming of. Here is Eric Cardinal, an infoman. If you know Quebecian television, is a star of the Quebecian television. And Eric Cardinal, the man on the left, is a specialist of the Indian Act, because Native people are still living under a specific law, which is the Indian Act, and it puts them in some specific conditions. This is something we could find in the past in the enter of a reservation. And I take that picture because like that I can say that, for example, the Native people are still considered as children under the law. So they are like grandchildren of the British Queen. Here is some children who went, it's a picture to talk about the boarding schools, because during all the 20th century, the children were taken from their family and put in boarding schools, and Michel, the man you've seen, went to that place, and I think my trip is being a healing trip because of that history. I don't have time. Here is also for fun, because it's related to my title, We Are Not Legends, because I think we don't imagine how is it to live and to be stuck in the past. Yeah, we are not legends, it's just the beginning of the adventure. And to feel connected with nature, this is something I will try to talk about in that documentary.